So, I don't know. I kind of thought in all the videos I've done about meditation, there would be just a basic meditation, but and there may be. I don't know. I couldn't find it. I didn't look that hard, but I thought I would go ahead and. My friend, who I'll call Hector, he says he meditates. I've been begging him to let me just teach him meditation, but I don't know. He won't do it, but maybe he'll watch a video I do. So I'm doing this video for him, but I've done this 100 times, to different groups. And we used to have 30, 40 people show up every Sunday in Austin for meditation instruction. So you might have 10 or 12 people, Really, it's better if you do this one-on-one with a real person. This is not the ideal way, but I've done every other thing on meditation, so I don't see any problem doing this. But traditionally speaking, you just want to go to your school, go to the person, have a one-on-one, then pick a meditation instructor and have them take you through the whole thing. After 4 or 5 years, you're not in such need of necessarily, but you still might have an older student or maybe the guru at that point, whatever. For the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you probably need just a meditation instructor to lead you through. It's progressive, the technique changes weekly in a way. So you need a meditation instructor to monthly, let's say, or bi-monthly, talk to you about what's going on, give you the next thing to do, or work on, or whatever. So in some ways, it's not going to be like a normal. I'm probably going to compress a lot of stuff in here just because that's what I do. If I'm going to get this done, I might as well take you through the first 2 years or whatever. We'll see. I may do a separate one on posture. Posture's usually, I can take the whole hour talking about posture before I get into anything else. Posture's a really big deal to me. Usually, maybe they would abbreviate it quite a bit. Not many people would do it that way, but I just am big on posture. But let me just lay out the main points. You want a 9-inch tall meditation cushion sitting on the floor, unless you're really old and decrepit. And then you want to sit in a chair without leaning back in the chair. Sit in the chair but don't lean back. If you're old and got a lot of meditation under your belt, you can do it a little different maybe, But if you really want to do good, just don't lean back, sit up. If you really want to do good, sit on the floor. Even if you're old, you can learn a lot in the first little bit that you can't learn otherwise, honestly. You're doing twice as much, 300 or 400% value sitting on the floor, especially in the beginning, even if you are a little decrepit. And if you're young and vigorous, you want to be on the floor as long as you can. You don't want to sit in a chair, man. That is copping out big time. We don't allow that, Everybody sits on the floor. And when you sit in a chair, you've got a good reason. Or they're going to tell you to sit on the floor, I'm just sitting in a chair because I don't want to work that hard now. I'm getting on the floor. Nine inches, not a 6-inch goblin. You got to get some more cushions. 9 inches. The reason it's 9 inches is your knees have to be lower than your hips. Whatever you do, your knees have to be lower than your hips. Your knees have to be lower than your hips. Your knees have to be lower than your hips, whatever you do. There's a certain forwardness, and it's just the way you're designed. Your body is designed to work that way, and if you don't get your body in that, you've lost before you began, practically. You just sit up straight. You just don't hunch over. And you try not to be too rigid. They call this the silver Mucor. It's this cord that and we talk about this all the time, Alexander. You just think ease. You think your neck releases. The tension in your neck is critical factor. You're not going to be able to overnight. But over time, working with the exhale, letting go on the exhale of the breath, thinking about relaxing your neck, thinking about your head going toward ease, the tension's gonna feel extra. When you feel that extra, that's tension, let it go on the out breath and relax. At a certain point in Dzogchen, it's 90% relaxation. 90%. In the beginning, we're not going to tell you that. We're not going to say it. We don't teach it like that. But at some point, Dzogchen is 90% relaxation. If you don't relax, there's no Dzogchen, man. So this thing is going that way. We're letting go. And then there's something extra here, which is the tension. And then we just acknowledge it. Acknowledge you got tension and learn Alexander, man. Get an Alexander technique teacher. That is the best thing. Man, you'll be 9,000x. Your efforts will be rewarded 9,000 times if you just learn Alexander. I mean, I can't tell you how helpful that is. And there's maybe another way to learn it, but I don't know. Get on a horse, and if you're a piece of wood, you'll die. That's the only other way I know to learn it. Get on a horse, and if you try to act like a piece of wood, you'll die. You realize I gotta loosen up. You gotta loosen up. This whole thing is about loosening up, man. Dzogchen is, are you loose now? We can talk about Dzogchen if you are. If you're not, go back in the soup. Kind of want to be a little forward. Usually we're holding back. We got all this tension and we're holding back and we're backing up in our cave. We're backing up in our cocoon. We're backing up in our ego. We want to kind of make the whole thing a little forward. In front of your sit bones, we say. On top of or in front of your sit bones. Top of or in front of your sit bones, on top of or in front of your sit bones, not behind your sit bones, not collapse before you ever start. If you collapse your seat before you ever start, you're screwed to begin with, man. You got nothing. You got nothing. You got nothing. You're bringing nothing. Lean a little forward, bring something, bring a little awakeness, bring a little effort. There's a little effort in this thing. It's not your usual kind of effort, but it's a little, bring it forward a little bit. Try to, then we're going to relax, that's it. Just combining this little bit of effort with it's a lot easier. Learning to be a light touch of effort and then just letting go, man. That's it. A light touch of effort and then letting go. That's it. So, the purpose of meditation, the meaning of meditation is to place the mind upon an object. We could use a candle flame. We could use a picture of your guru. Million face we could use as our object of meditation. Usually, a visualization could be an object of meditation. But in this case, we usually start out and we finish with the breath. The breath is just a beautiful thing. It has some flaws. The breath is not perfect. But all in all, it is a jewel, man. It is a jewel and a wonder to use the breath as your object of meditation. You can use other things, and you will. But man, you're not going to beat the breath in certain ways. The purpose, the meaning of meditation is to place the mind on an object. The purpose is to produce peace. We suffer for two reasons. We suffer because of emotional instability, and we suffer because of primitive beliefs about reality. You think you're an ego and you're separate, and they'll always keep you totally in samsara, totally in misery. And your ego likes it like that. It'll always vote for that. You'll always want that, really. You start going the other way, the ego's going to be unsettled, and then your whole issue is the unsettledness of your ego going into these other directions, these other, you kind of got, you have a nervous system that has two aspects to it. The sympathetic, which is the fight-flight, which is the ego's domain. And they'll always be trying to take you there. And then you got this other side to your nervous system, which is called the parasympathetic. They're sort of backwards in a way, but sympathetic means something's happening. Fight-flight is a thing. Parasympathetic, it seems like to the scientist nothing's happening, so that's not a thing. That's not sympathetic, meaning moving according to a stimulus. That's what they mean when they say sympathetic. The stimulus and there was a movement. They think that's sympathetic. They did it backward, but whatever. Too late to change it now. You just gotta live with it. So parasympathetic is becoming a Buddha. Sympathetic is becoming an egotist. You've been becoming an egotist for the last 10,000 lifetimes. You are really good at that. Becoming a Buddha is a little different, and it's going to drive your ego wild. It's going to drive your ego insane. And it's going to take you on a very interesting journey if you just keep at it. And, today we're going to do some more of that insane shit where my ego gets torn in half again. And turns out it's kind of a fun rodeo if you get a taste for it. Till you get a taste for it, you think they're trying to kill you. Maybe we are trying to kill you. We're trying to kill your ego, that's for sure, which will seem like we're trying to kill you. But that's okay. You just keep that arrow pointed at you. And don't start pointing that arrow at the other guy and saying he's not a good Buddhist. He's not a good this, he's not a good that. Just keep that arrow pointed at you. What am I doing? What is my ego up to today? That's all you need to worry about. That's all you need to do. Keep the arrow pointed at you. What is my ego up to today? What am I going to do about it? Don't worry about that guy. What his ego's doing, that's his problem. Khyentse Rinpoche, meaning Zangzar Khyentse Rinpoche, says, Buddhism, it's so hard. It's so difficult. It's unbelievably difficult. The reason it's so difficult is because you have to be so tough with your own ego. You have to be so tough. You can't let it do anything. You can't give it an inch. And then you have to love the other guy's ego. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. But that's the job. That's the job. That's the job. Don't point the finger at that guy. You point the finger here. This is where the work is done. Him you just love. You just love his ego. Oh, that guy. All he does is prance his ego around. I just think that is the cutest thing. I just want to love on that poor guy. That's hard. That's hard. That's hard work. That's hard work. Real hard work. Ego don't like that job. So anyway, good posture. Oh, we talk all day about the hands, man. I could talk to you for an hour about your hands, but I don't have time to do all the posture stuff, Just let your hands rest on your knees. Don't let them be tense. Do something. I pick them up, like somehow get your wrists relaxed. Just get your wrists. No more stiff wrists. No more stiff hands. No more stiff anybody. Nobody's stiff anymore. But especially your neck, your gaze, your head and shoulders all together is going to have to learn to be loose. Just work on it, 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 work on it. Then your hands. Then your straight, nice back and your open front. Open up that front. Work on it. So, we place the mind upon an object. The object won't use the breath, even though it's like a wild horse, this breath. And it's ephemeral, man. It's like, what is it? What is the breath? It's wild. It's like the wild wind, fickle. But that's the nature of the beast. That's exactly what our mind is like. So it's very interesting that way. So we place our mind upon our object to produce peace. Peace is everything in a certain way, and it's sand falling through our hands in another way. We have to have that peace, but it's gone. As soon as we fill our hands with peace, it's running out and it's gone. You can't get it permanent peace. Peace is temporary. The peace you create is a temporary peace. It's valuable. It's the most valuable thing for you to get to your next destination. There's nothing else will help you get to your destination but that peace. But you got to keep creating it over and over again, Which is why we meditate our brains out, because we need some peace in order to do the next thing, which I'll go into a little bit later, maybe, or soon, or later. But we just keep creating this peace, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the best thing there is, man. It's freedom from this horror of samsara and the heat of samsara. It's said to be cooling. It's said to be a cool breeze in a hot, burning world. It's a cool breeze of delight. So we just love that peace that we get out of this. But some people just cling to the peace and they don't know what to do with the peace. They just use it up stupidly. It's not exactly stupid, but they don't take the next step, which is unfortunate. The point of the peace is to use the peace as a magnifying glass to examine the nature of reality. You cannot examine the nature of reality without this magnifying glass of peace. It can't be done. You can't practice Vipassana without shamatha, without that peace. There's no moving to Vipassana. And Vipassana is all about examining the nature of reality. It's about a bunch of things. It's about some intellectual things. It's about some emotional things. I'm going to emphasize the kind of emotional side at this point. But there's a whole intellectual side, which maybe I won't get into as much. I'll just kind of concentrate on the feeling tone. The feeling of being locked into an ego and the letting go that's involved. There's a letting go, which is kind of like Vipassana. Vipassana What is Vipassana? First of all, why even talk about Vipassana in the first 6 months? Probably better not, but probably just better practice shamatha for 6 months and then we'll talk about Vipassana. But me being the idiot savant that I am, I want y'all to know about Vipassana. I don't want you to get too caught up in it or too. Usually we don't talk about it for a while. There's no reason to. You got plenty to do just to do shamatha. But you end up with a bunch of students that never make the transition. They never transition into Vipassana. They never get it. So I'm going to tell you right here at the beginning, shamatha is great, but it's only half the story, and it's not the best half even. The best half is what happens in Vipassana, but Vipassana is a wild, wild ride. But here, all you got to know is you practice shamatha. Maybe the whole hour of your session, let's say you got an hour session, maybe the whole hour you just practice shamatha because you don't accomplish the shamatha. But as you get down the road and you actually accomplish something in your shamatha, maybe in 20 minutes or 30 minutes your mind is settled. And then you're able to shift and begin to use that piece to practice Vipassana. What is practicing Vipassana? Well, I'll just say this. Vipassana was there from the beginning. I didn't know it. You're not going to know it, but here's how you know it. From the very beginning, 70% of the meditation was just the environment. So all that work you're doing on your breath is really only like 30% of the meditation. The real guts of the meditation all along was just being in your environment. So just being in your environment is the guts, the real heart and soul of the meditation. And you didn't know it, You're not going to know it. I can tell you, but it won't mean shit to you. 6 months down the road, you're going to wake up one day and go, oh, this environment is really interesting. That's it. Your mind's got to settle down or you're never going to figure that out. Until your mind settles down, you're never going to be able to figure that out. That's the fact from day one. The fact is 70% of the meditation is just the environment. The fact that you're resting in your environment. You're resting your mind in your environment. And it goes from there. It's eventually 99% of it would just be, I'm resting my mind in the nature of my mind. That's it. I'm resting my mind in the nature of my mind. That's it, which is the environment. Which is a sort of, the fact that you can rest your mind is astounding compared to what we are here now. It might take you 10 years before you can rest your mind. You probably don't even know what the nature of your mind is even at that point, but it's just the space around you and the environment that you're in. The fact that it's possible to learn how to train yourself to rest your mind. And your teacher will point out the nature of your mind, and then that'll be that. And you'll try to rest your mind in the nature of that. And stop struggling as much, but whatever, it's just a job. But you always go back and forth between shamatha and Vipassana. You start out the first third of your session, shamatha only. Don't even think about Vipassana, or half, or all. Forget Vipassana. Forget Vipassana for 6 months, but it helps to know these things. If you get good at Vipassana, shamatha, then you shift. You just kind of go out in space. That's about it, really. It's all about that letting go on the out breath, which we haven't gotten into, but we're going to get into. It's about that letting go on the out breath. You just let go on the out breath. And that's really Vipassana. It's your senses awaken. So all of a sudden, all this richness of the meaning of emptiness in a way, or the the meaning of the nature of your mind in a way, or Buddha nature in a way, or just things as they are, and Tathagata, Prajna, Shunyata. It's just this rock meets bone. You didn't know all this before. All of a sudden you discover the mother of all Buddhas, which is Prajnaparamita. Wham! You just let go. And there's this thing that happens. You just give up the struggle a bit and discover non-duality, or instead of it living in a box like a little ego in a box and everything out there is sort of nebulous but separate, not even kind of real to me but separate, then all this, it becomes just like that. All of a sudden you're like plastered into that, and that's it, you know. There was no me, there was no ego. It was just a letting go, and it's plastered into that, which in the beginning you think that might be an ego, and then discover that that also is not an ego. It turns out to be a little difficult. But you just keep going, you keep going. But you always go out into Vipassana and get lost, or you forget what you're doing, or you run out of peace. I ran out of peace. What do I do now? I don't know what to do. You always come back to shamatha. There's always an alternation between, I do shamatha, I gain some peace, I sort of shift to Vipassana, but something is going to go slightly wrong at some point. But when it does, it's not a problem. When things go wrong somehow, when things get too nebulous, when you forget what's what, when you don't know what's up and down anymore, you just come back to shamatha and you're going to be fine. Then you just go back to shamatha, build up your peace. Now you've got your peace, now you can examine Vipassana. But it's going to run out. It's going to run out, you're going to have to return. So you just alternate endlessly. Later on, it's development stage, visualization practice, and completion stage, formless meditation. And it just goes on that way forever. Forever. You're going to alternate with shamatha and Vipassana. When you're a great bodhisattva, you're going to be doing the same thing, you know, and you're going to get lost in Vipassana, forget where you are. You're going to come back to shamatha. Oh yeah, now I know. It's going to be endless that way. It just gets subtler and subtler. You know, it's like a spiral. You get better. It gets easier and more effortless. Shamatha becomes so easy, such a light touch. This shamatha is so different than this shamatha, but there's no way to go from here to there without going around a million times. It's just the way it is. So, let's go back and learn shamatha. So what we do is I'm going to maybe cut this up. If I get it too long, it's impossible. I like to keep it half an hour.